willing to bet 10,000 pennies that you're probably not considering as many Orlando neighborhoods as you should in your quest to move to or within the Orlando area. It's those type of neighborhoods that don't necessarily make the top 5 or top 10 list, but can still hold a lot of value for a smart buyer. And so our conversation today is going to be based around those neighborhoods, starting with those looking to immerse themselves into the local Orlando scene. I'm talking those that are fine with Applebee's, but would rather try out Adam and Susie's apple pie shop. That was pretty good, no? I think so. But hopefully you get what I mean though. Like, people from other suburbs come to these type of areas to enjoy that local spot that we all love. One that comes to mind is Winter Park, for example. It's like a rite of passage at this point to stroll down Park Ave, contend for a spot in the Trader Joe's parking lot, go over to Winter Park Village, enjoy the art museums, all the things that Winter Park has to offer at a high price when it comes to real estate. The average price for 32789 is over $1 million. With that, if you were wanting to be close to some of that magic, where should you consider? Maitland is one that certainly comes to mind. Maitland, Florida is just north of Winter Park. Almost gives me the same feeling as Claremont and Mineola's relationship, where Mineola is just north of Claremont and benefits from all the amenities in that area. Here you're less than 20 minutes to downtown, about 30 minutes or so to MCO, and you're about 35 to 45 to Disney, so not the best for proximity to the theme parks per se, but we'll actually cover a neighborhood that is right after this one. What exactly does Maitland have to offer for you to look this way in spite of Winter Park, or at least in addition to Winter Park? You may consider Winter Park in the first place because of its higher rated public school district. Glad to tell you that Maitland also carries over in this respect as well. Maitland's sort of split in between Seminole and Orange County, and so in some cases, depending on where you live in Maitland, you are zoned for Winter Park High, for example. It's a Winter Park school that is A-rated, and then you have awesome schools like Domrick Elementary, also A-rated, and so you still have the ability to be in a higher public school district without paying the price that you would for the same home just 10 minutes down the street. What also carries over, but isn't necessarily quantifiable, of course, is the charm of the area. The historic nature of Maitland lends to this beautiful area that's been developed over many, many years, dating all the way back to 1838. Fast forward from that time to present day, it's sort of this mix of a really calm, quaint suburb and also has an upbeat tempo to it in certain areas, probably thanks to young professionals who tend to consider this community, especially when you have companies like Charles Schwab spending over $100 million for the Maitland Summit Office Park. Oh yeah, Maitland is not your polished, master planned community, but it also doesn't try to be. That's part of the reason why people love it. You have the parks like Lake Lily or Minnehaha. The lake life opportunities are there. On the culinary side of things, spots like Maitland Social with Wave Sushi and Pizza Bruno, Luke's Kitchen, famous and local favorite Antonio's. You get some of that Winter Park culinary magic, again being just 10 minutes north of Winter Park, paying a fraction of the price to be there. Speaking of which, what does the real estate landscape look like in the Maitland area? Well, it's certainly, to put a blanket term on it, older. You are, due to its historic and charming nature, going to be looking at older homes. Typically, you'll see on market most of the inventory being between the 1950s and late 1970s. Of course, there are gaps above and below that. And so that typically manifests in a home like this one, where it's remodeled, pool home, awesome location in the 6s. Or if you are at a higher price point and you are looking for new construction, there are a few opportunities out there like this one, just under $3 million off the canal that gets you out to Lake Maitland and Osceola and the Winter Park chain of lakes, so on and so forth. So please consider Maitland, at least if you are looking for an area that has a higher rated public school district, great amenities, great proximity to Winter Park and the core Orlando. Now for my magic movers. Put some pixie dust on the screen, Disney-esque music, maybe Walt narrating in the background a little bit.
To all who come to this happy place,
You're probably looking to move closer to Disney or just the parks in general. I recently put some awesome, amazing buyers under contract for this exact reason just about a week ago. Typically, some areas that come to mind are Celebration. Of course, it's the town that Disney built. Very magical, lawn always manicured, everything looks perfect. What isn't magical is the home prices though. Definitely more on the higher side of things. And so people then gravitated towards Horizon West, which is also an awesome area. I have tons of clients there that enjoy and love the area and all that's coming, but that's also higher, much higher than the average price in Central Florida. But there is one that can get you about 20 minutes to practically all the park. It's sort of flown under the radar for quite some time now, and that is Hunters Creek. This is over in Osceola County. What you're looking at here is homes on larger lots. They are a bit older. We're talking not as old as Maitland necessarily with the 1950s and 1960s, but certainly late 1980s to early 2000s. And so you have some of the same issues with the real estate there when you're thinking about the mechanical systems, homeowners insurance on these homes, the energy efficiency of these homes. That aside though, I will say the value in the real estate here is fairly undeniable when you think of the proximity to the parks in comparison to some of these other higher cost areas, and the fact that it still retains all A-rated schools. Very strong sense of community here. People really ride behind Hunters Creek. It's had time to mature. It's also home to 7 private parks, and these are parks with basketball courts, tennis courts, soccer fields, playgrounds, fishing docks, etc. And so it really has the opportunity for profound community involvement because of all the ways in which people in the community can connect. Other things to consider though when it comes to Hunters Creek is the infrastructure around it. Traffic can be a real concern because John Young Parkway runs through the neighborhood. You will face more than likely more traffic on a daily basis here. The other part of Hunters Creek, unlike Maitland for example, it's more commercial. That said, you have a ton of stores nearby this area. I mean, you have huge shopping marts. Most notably, you have the Loop, which has everything from your Ross and Michael's to Best Buy across the street to your food spots, burger chains, all that kind of stuff. But it's not as mom and poppy as some might want it to be. All that said though, when you do stack Hunters Creek up against traditional magic mover destinations, if you will, it does offer incredible value on the real estate while maintaining proximity to the magic, as well as having its own magic in terms of the neighborhood feel and proximity to amenities. Next up are my future finders. Cue the investigative analytical type music. And zoom in a little bit so it's a little bit more dramatic. You are very interested in knowing where the next big thing is. So you've probably considered Sunbridge, seeing the success Tavistock had with Lake Nona, maybe considering Claremont or Mineola right now with all the massive investment opportunities out that way. But you should also consider Apopka, Florida. If you're not familiar with Apopka at all, you are in Northwest Orange County. You can be to Disney in about 30 minutes, about 30 minutes to downtown Orlando as well. Your furthest distance in terms of like the big areas would be 30 to 40 to MCO, the Orlando International Airport. That is amazing by Orlando standards. Of course, it's not an urban area. You're going to be using your car everywhere. You do get solid proximity for an area that's quite high up on the map, which I think is one of its redeeming qualities given its proximity to the 429, which then connects over to the turnpike. But what exactly do you get for being in Apopka? Well, you're certainly in touch with nature over in this area. I've been to Wekiva State Park. I've been to Kelly Park. I've also been to Magnolia Park. That's probably the most casual out of the 3, but still amazing place to kind of sit, hang out, and just relax.
I don't think I've ever spotted a peacock before, but peacock spotting or spotted. Pretty cool.
Beyond that, on the basis of the public school system, depending on where in Apopka you are, you can be in an A and B rated school district. That's particularly the Wolf School District. But beyond that, beyond that, not much. And that's sort of where the opportunity lies for Apopka, because there is a huge project on the horizon, and it's called Wild Oaks. It's over 200 acres, and it's promising one heck of a mixed-use development. You are looking at about 200,000 square feet of retail, a medical campus with 20,000 square feet of Class A medical office space, 2 hotel sites, and roughly, give or take, 5,000 residential units. And you know it's starting to be something, at least, when you see the home builders surrounding the development on every single side. Definitely quite a bit more opportunities in our market today. And so if you are interested in buying a home, looking for a real estate agent, I'd love to bring great guidance and a great experience to you. Feel free to shoot me an email, info@orlandowithmario.com. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button for more videos. Until next time.